Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The Shadow knows.
Once again, we bring you the thrilling adventures of The Shadow, the hard and relentless fight of one man against the forces of evil. These dramatizations are designed to demonstrate forcibly to old and young alike that crime does not pay. The Shadow, who aids the forces of law and order, is in reality Lamont Cranston, wealthy young man about town. Years ago in the Orient, Cranston learnt a strange and mysterious secret. The hypnotic power to cloud men's minds so they cannot see him. Cranston's friend and companion, the lovely Margot Lane, is the only person who knows to whom the voice of the invisible Shadow belongs. Today's drama, The Little Man Who Wasn't There. Intermission at the opera. A glittering crowd circulates through the foyer and promenades up and down the great golden staircase. This is the final week of the city's most glamorous music season.
What an interval, Lamont.
A better show than the one on the stage, Margot.
Oh, look, there's Nancy Hale.
Where?
Just starting down the stairs. She's wearing the Hale diamond tonight. Golly, what a stone.
Yeah, it's so big it must feel more like a tombstone around her neck.
Lamont, she's fallen.
No, she seems to be fighting.
Fighting? Oh, there's no one near her.
Help! Help! Get it away from me! Get it off me!
Oh, let's lend a hand, Margot. Help her up.
Get it away from me! For heaven's sake!
Now, calm down, Miss Hale. You'll be all right.
What happened?
Something attacked me. Something I couldn't see. Oh!
Miss Hale.
My diamond, the diamond pendant, it's gone. It's been stolen by that invisible something.
Lamont, look. There's a card on the stairs. There's something written on it.
Now, 1 minute.
What does it say?
It's addressed to Miss Hale. It says, "Compliments of the little man who wasn't there."
Compliments of the little man who... What? Now listen, Cranston. It's bad enough to have to hang around opera houses at midnight, so don't start playing games.
Who's playing games, Commissioner? We've given you the true story of what happened to Miss Hale.
But this little man's story...
You've forgotten the nursery rhymes, Commissioner.
I'd like to forget the headache I've got right at this moment.
Well, there was a rhyme that went, "Last night I saw upon the stair a little man who wasn't there. He wasn't there again today. My gosh, I wish he'd go away."
The last line expresses my sentiments to a T.
Well, he did go away, Commissioner, with Miss Hale's diamond in his hands.
And you saw him rob the woman?
We didn't see him. He was invisible, I tell you. Look, I'll show you exactly what we saw. Go up the stairs, Margot. Start coming down the same way Miss Hale did.
Oh, do I have to?
Now, go ahead. No one will bite you.
Perhaps the little man will. I'm wearing a couple of bracelets that might interest him.
Now, watch closely, Commissioner. Nancy Hale started down the steps at that point. And we were watching her. She was all right on the upper steps.
Oh, this is a nightmare. I am dreaming, invisible crooks.
And when Miss Hale reached the steps that Margot's on, she was attacked. Margot!
Miss Lane.
Lamont! Lamont! Oh, gosh, what a fright I had.
What a fright we had. What happened?
Not the little man
Yeah,
again.
I thought it was at first, but I suppose I just tripped.
Well, there you are, Commissioner. A realistic description of the crime. What do you say about that?
I couldn't say what I'm thinking, Cranston. I'd dissolve into thick smoke. I only hope the little man doesn't try another invisible crime, because I won't be able to think without tearing my hair out by the roots.
The stock exchange is down this morning.
Yes.
You read about the Hale diamond last night?
The invisible crook at the opera. Oh, balderdash. No such thing as an invisible man.
Oh, you think so? Wait a minute. There's Anthony Gates.
Where?
Coming down the stairs from the balcony. He was at the opera last night. We'll ask him.
Hey, let me go! Right, Joe. Did you see that? The gate's stripped up.
Tripped nothing. Look, he's fighting. Fighting empty air.
Help! Help for the love of Pete! Get him away from me!
Let's give him a hand. Hurry up.
Did you see him? Did anyone see him?
See who, Mr. Gates?
My wallet, gone, taken out of my pocket.
government bonds worth 10,000 stolen.
The invisible man again.
Wait a minute. There's a card on the steps. Look at it.
It's addressed to you, Mr. Gates. Compliments of the little man who wasn't there.
Just listen to that applause. They're lapping up the show out there. We've got a smash hit, Joe.
And just wait till Monica Joy appears. She'll knock 'em in the aisles. Sweetheart, just listen to your uncle. Do like I do. Stick to musicals. Let the long hairs lose their money on this Shakespeare.
Here comes Monica out of her dressing room.
Hey, stagehands, get off the stairs. Miss Joy's coming down.
Are those jewels she's wearing real?
They certainly are, sweetheart. 200,000's worth in emeralds. If the audience doesn't go for her, they're not alive.
Joe, look, she's falling.
Get away from me! Help! Somebody help!
What's the matter? She got the DTs. She's punching at empty air.
Hey, tell Gus to hold the curtain. Miss Joy! Monica, sweetheart! Are you all right? What happened?
Oh, the invisible man. Joe, my emeralds, they're gone. He took them.
For the love of... Monica! He must have dropped this card here. It's got your name on it.
What does it say?
Compliments of the little man who wasn't there.
Morning, Commissioner.
Good morning, Mr. Weston.
What's good about it?
We better turn and run for it, Margot. Commissioner looks in a pretty sour mood.
What you see on my face is 8 hours sleep that I didn't have. You've heard about the little man.
That's why we're here.
Yesterday afternoon at the stock exchange, last night at the new musical show. It's absolutely maddening.
The invisible criminal.
Perhaps you need an invisible police department to catch him.
Very funny, Cranston. I'm laughing.
I wasn't joking.
No, all right then, go ahead. I'd like to know how I'm supposed to hire an invisible detective.
I was going to suggest calling in the Shadow.
The Shadow?
Well, that's the obvious solution, isn't it? Use an invisible man to catch an invisible man?
What you're suggesting is to set a thief to catch himself.
I don't understand.
Cranston, I've just about made up my mind. Our little man is our old friend, the Shadow.
Oh, no.
I've been afraid of this for a long time. The Shadow's the only man who knows the secret of invisibility. He's always been outside the law. Now he's really gone in for a career of crime.
That's impossible.
Oh, how do you know, Miss Lane?
Well, I just feel the Shadow wouldn't turn criminal. He couldn't.
Your heart's in the right place, Miss Lane, but your deductions are all wrong. It's the Shadow, I know. He's always been a potential danger to law and order. Now that the danger's become real, I'm going to arrest him if that's the last thing I do.
Well, you've got to let us help you with the case, Commissioner.
You'd better not, Cranston. The Shadow's dynamite. For your own good, stay out of his way. Especially you, Miss Lane.
Thanks for the tip, Commissioner. I can't understand it, Lamont. Another man in the city who knows the secret of invisibility. An invisible thief. It's awful.
It certainly is a mess.
What are you going to do?
And the obvious thing, clear the Shadow's name.
How?
By catching the little man who wasn't there.
Any ideas how?
I'm depending on you to help a little.
Oh, no. I've got strict orders to stay out of this.
Well, drive in the direction of Nancy Hale's flat, will you?
Why?
Well, you know her, don't you?
Yes.
Well, I'd like to meet her, speak to her. Perhaps she can give us some information about the little man. The sooner the Shadow meets him, the better.
It's most kind of you to try and help, Mr. Cranston, but I'm afraid it's useless.
You can't tell me anything about the little man?
Think, Nancy.
I've tried, but I can't. I was too frightened to notice anything.
Have you tried comparing notes with the others who were robbed? Monica Joy and Anthony Gates.
I don't know them.
Do you think the little man might be a friend of yours in real life?
I don't know. Sometimes I think yes, other times no.
Isn't there any lead at all that you can give us? Any point which might account for the fact that the little man singled you out and the other two?
About the only thing I have in common with Miss Joy and Mr. Gates is the fact that we're all insured by the same man, Gabriel Hodge.
That might lead to something. What's the address?
Top floor of the Cannon building. But you don't think Mr. Hodge...
I can't answer that question, Miss Hale. I'm hoping Mr. Hodge can. Well, come along, Margot. Let's go and talk insurance.
Come in, Mr. Cranston. Come in, Miss Lane.
Thanks, Mr. Hodge.
Sit down, won't you? You'll pardon me if I don't get up. Pretty well kept to my desk from 9 till 5. Arthritis.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear it.
Well, this is a lovely office you have, Mr. Hodge. Sun streaming through the window, lots of fresh air.
Yes. Now, Mr. Cranston, what can I do for you? Something about insurance, I presume?
In a way, yes.
Seems like everyone's taking an interest in insurance after that little flurry over the past few days.
The little man who wasn't there.
Just so, exactly.
Well, that's the reason we're here, Mr. Hodge.
Really? Go on.
For what amount were the 3 people who were robbed insured?
I'm sorry, that is confidential.
I see. Well, when you insured them, did you take down a description of the articles in question?
Oh, that is customary.
And did you also learn when, where, and how the insured articles were carried?
Exactly what are you driving at, Mr. Cranston?
Oh, just one thing, Mr. Hodge. These 3 people were all robbed on stairways. It was a feature of the crimes. How did the little man know he could catch each of them on a stairway wearing or carrying the stolen article?
Oh, that brings up an interesting point. Listen to this, Mr. Cranston. It will interest you. Would you...
Lamont!
Oh, Mr. Cranston,
Hodge! He's dead.
Lamont, that shot. It was fired in this room. Fired right over my shoulder.
Now, steady, Margot.
It's the little man. He's here now. In this room. Invisible.
Whoever you are, wherever you are, speak up. Answer.
Lamont, you've got to turn into the...
Quiet, Margot. Don't lose your head.
But he's here. He may be standing alongside us.
It looks as though that's correct.
Well, you know what you've got to do.
Margot, do you know what you're asking?
It's the only way to get him now.
It's the secret. It would reveal everything.
You've got to do it, Lamont. You've got to. I know it's a sacrifice, but an invisible criminal and murderer terrorizing the city. Killing, stealing. You've got to stop him now while we've got the chance.
Get out of the way, Margot.
Shadow.
Yes, this is the Shadow, speaking to the little man who wasn't there. I know the trick of invisibility, my friend. I know every hypnotic trick invented in the Orient.
Can you see him, Shadow?
The Shadow sees all. The Shadow knows all. My friend, it is useless to struggle against the Shadow. Here and now you become visible to men's eyes. You cannot see the Shadow, but the Shadow will see you. Now.
Shadow. Shadow, can you see him? Who is it? Shadow, answer. Can you see him? Shadow. Shadow.
It's no use, Margot. Get to the door, quickly.
Lamont,
Open it. Go through.
Lamont, did you... Is he...
I don't know. He may still be there. He may be alongside us now. I couldn't see him, Margot. Do you understand what that means? I couldn't see him. Even the Shadow couldn't see him. Margot, the little man has us beaten.
It looks as though the Shadow has met his match. Keep tuned to this station for part 2 of today's Shadow story. And now back to the Shadow. Gabriel Hodge's office. Lamont and Margot are in conference with Commissioner Weston.
Well, this is a fine mess. You notice the size of that bullet wound, Cranston? It's enormous. Looks like he was killed with a .55 caliber slug.
They don't make a gun that size, Commissioner.
I know. Now, let's get it all straightened out, Cranston. The Shadow killed Hodge while you were in the room.
It was not the Shadow.
Oh, please, Miss Lane, will you stop carrying the torch for the Shadow? Have you any proof he wasn't the murderer?
Well, no. But can you prove that he was?
Yes, easily. The Shadow's the only invisible man in the world, and that card he drops isn't fooling me. The Shadow is the little man who wasn't there. You think it over. I'm going to put in a call to O'Shaughnessy. We've got to get that fellow.
Margot, we're in the worst mess we've ever been in.
I know, Lamont.
It's bad enough that the little man has stronger hypnotic powers than the Shadow.
I can't understand that.
The thing that's worrying me is the fact that the little man must know that the Shadow is Lamont Cranston.
Oh, it was all my fault, Lamont. I shouldn't
Don't forget about that now, Margot. It wasn't your fault. I'd have done it anyway. The important thing to remember is that we haven't much time.
Time?
Well, don't you understand? We've got an hour or two at the most before the little man checkmates me completely by publishing my secret.
Oh, Lamont.
So let's get busy in a hurry. Now, that shot came over your shoulder, right?
Right.
And the little man must have been standing right in front of this open window.
Perhaps he didn't sneak in with us. Perhaps he climbed in through the window.
Yeah, that's what I want to check on.
Well, careful of the pot plant boxes. Don't knock them out.
That's impossible, Margot. No human being could have climbed to that window. Neither from the roof or anywhere else.
Watch out, Lamont.
Yeah. Well, he must have come in with...
Oh, now look what you've done. There go 5 hyacinths and a nose dive to the footpath.
Well, that's very interesting.
What's interesting? What's the matter with you? You look like you've got tummy ache.
Come on, Margot. We've got to hustle down to the street under this window. I know why the little man used a .55 caliber gun to kill Hodge.
Ah, here's the plant box, or what's left of it.
I'm not interested in hyacinths. I'm looking for something else. Ah, here we are. Have a look, Margot.
It's funny. This looks like a smashed pistol.
Right.
It's an old-fashioned gun.
Right again. The remains of a flintlock pistol. 55 caliber.
The one that killed Hodge?
Yes, thrown out of the window by the little man.
I don't understand. Why did he kill Hodge with an antique? Why did he throw it out the window?
That's a couple of questions for the Shadow to answer. But first, he's got to make a few social calls.
The Shadow making social calls?
Social calls that will be strictly business.
So brave of you, Nancy dear, to give this tea.
Sugar, my dear.
Two, please. I mean, considering the dreadful experience you've had with that ghastly invisible thief, you're positively gallant, my dear.
So kind of you to say so. Anyone else that hasn't been served yet?
You've forgotten me, Miss Hale.
Oh, so sorry. I really... Who said that?
I did, Miss Hale.
Where are you?
Standing before you.
Who are you?
The Shadow.
The Shadow? The man that robbed me on the stairs at the opera?
No, I didn't rob you, Miss Hale.
But Commissioner Weston said...
Commissioner Weston is mistaken. Shall I prove it to you, Miss Hale?
How? How?
Meet the Shadow on the stage of the Opera House tonight at midnight. You will meet the little man who wasn't there, and he will return the Hale diamond to you.
Impossible.
The little man will be there, Miss Hale, and so will the Shadow. Until midnight.
Government stock, 186, up 3/4. Gaunt Mountain iron ore, 39.5. Tengari steel, 124.5, up 1/4. Closing market doesn't look bad. Not bad at all. Who's that?
Would you be interested in a quotation on government bonds, Mr. Gates?
This is impossible. My office is empty. I'm hearing things. That laugh again.
It is the laughter of the Shadow.
Help! Police! Help!
Silence, you fool.
You're a criminal, a murderer. You killed Hodge.
Listen to me, Gates.
You're the little man who wasn't there. What do you want from me now?
Justice.
For whom?
The Shadow.
What are you talking about?
10,000's worth of government bonds. Would you like them back, Gates?
Like them back? They're mine, of course I
Then
would.
the Shadow will strike a bargain with you. One small payment from you and the bonds will be returned.
What payment?
Help the Shadow clear his name.
You mean you didn't? Oh, I don't believe you.
Come to the stage of the Opera House tonight at midnight. The little man will be there. You'll believe him.
How do I know this isn't a trick?
Tonight at midnight, Gates. Trust the Shadow. The Shadow knows.
Be out in a minute. Got to fix my makeup for the last act.
Good evening, Miss Joy.
Who's that? Who's in my dressing room?
The Shadow.
Shadow?
Don't raise your voice. Don't scream. Listen to the Shadow.
To a crook and a murderer? Not likely.
Do you want your emeralds back, Miss Joy?
What do you mean?
You can have them tonight.
Oh, extortion, eh? I'm supposed to pay to have them returned.
No, this is justice.
Come to the point.
After your performance tonight, come to the stage of the Opera House at 12.
Why?
To meet the little man who wasn't there.
You're crazy, that's what you are.
You'll also receive your emeralds.
I don't believe you.
Come to the Opera House stage, Miss Joy, for a performance of the Shadow that will astonish you.
What time is it, Margot?
5 to 12.
Well, it's time for us to go into the Opera House. This way, eh?
Lamont, I don't know what you're going to do, but I hope it works.
I think it will.
The little man is so powerful. You said yourself even the Shadow and all the tricks he learned in the Orient couldn't make him visible.
Well, we'll get him anyway. Now, here's the stage door.
Is it open?
Yes.
Well, why is that?
Well, don't forget, Lamont Cranston's on the Opera House board of directors. I made arrangements. Well, we'll go through to the stage, Margot.
Please tell me what you're going to do, Lamont.
Produce the little man who wasn't there.
But how?
By using his victims as a bait.
And he'll give them back their jewels and bonds?
The Shadow will make him.
Lamont, There's a light up ahead.
And that's just the safety light that's left on the stage at night. Careful now.
What do we do?
Hide here in the wings and wait.
Golly. Spooky here.
Calm down, Margot.
Can you see the auditorium from where you're standing?
Yes?
Feels as though an audience was sitting out there in the darkness. An audience of ghosts.
Now, Margot.
Lamont, I... What is it?
Somebody's coming.
The little man?
The bait. His 3 victims.
When he gets here, are you sure you can fight him? Is the shadow strong enough?
Wait here and see, Margot. Don't show yourself no matter what happens. Trust the shadow.
Is that the shadow?
Good evening, Mr. Gates. Good evening, Miss Hale, Miss Joy.
We've come. We followed your instructions.
I tell you, I don't trust him.
But you're here, that's the important thing, waiting for the little man.
Where are you?
Standing alongside the stage light. A pity you can't see me. But no man sees the shadow.
We shouldn't have come, I tell you.
Shadow, please, if you can...
Wait. Our mutual friend is coming. Do you see him?
The man's insane.
I can't stand this.
Look, there. He takes your purse, Miss Joy.
Take your hands off me!
Your wallet, Mr. Gates.
Let go of me.
Your bag, Miss Hale.
How dare you? How dare you?
What's going on here?
This is fantastic. I won't stand for it.
And what do we find in them? Amazing. The little man has slipped your stolen jewels back into your purses. Your diamond, Miss Hale.
How could you...
Your emeralds, Miss Joy, and your bonds, Mr. Gates.
It's a trick. A trick. You couldn't have the emeralds. No one could. They were home in my...
Shut up, you fool.
No, let her talk. The emeralds were never stolen, eh?
We're finished. He knows all about us, Nancy. Let's get out of here.
You're not leaving me here to face the music gates.
Well, get out then. Run, quickly.
No, not yet.
Let me go.
Run now. Stop him.
He got me.
Both of us.
You fools, pretending to fight an invisible man who never existed. Now fight a man who was really invisible. Fight the shadow.
Very nice, Shadow. Very nice indeed. Entertaining and educational. Commissioner Weston. I'm obliged to you for the confession, Mr. Gates. I was sitting out in the darkness with some of my plainclothesmen enjoying the show. It's all right. You can stop fighting. You're through.
Tricked. Tricked by that smart Alex Shadow.
All right, Shadow. I have to hand it to you. You've got out of this jam all right, but you're still not in the clear. I've still got you, my friend. It's only a small charge, Shadow, but enough to put you in jail for a while. Just long enough for us to look you over and find out what makes you tick. Are you going to come quietly? Shadow? Hey, Shadow! He's gone. He's got away again. Well, what do you think of that, O'Shaughnessy? Just when I was going to give him 90 days for giving a public performance without a license.
Then there never was any little man, Lamont.
No, Margot. This was a clever ruse worked out by Hale, Gates, and Joy to defraud the insurance company. Each pretended to be robbed by an invisible crook,
So they concealed the stolen jewels and bonds themselves.
while they pretended to fight the little man.
And dropped those cards themselves.
Correct. Hodge was killed because he knew one important fact. All 3 had met in his office. This pointed to collusion.
But how was Hodge killed? No one was in the office.
That was the cleverest trick of all. That morning, they concealed the flintlock pistol in the plants on Hodge's windowsill. A magnifying glass was attached to the pistol. The gun was aimed at the chair where Hodge always sat.
But how was it fired?
By the sun. Concentrated sun rays ignited the powder in the powder pan and fired the pistol. The recoil knocked it out of the window.
So it was just an accident. We happened to be there at the time.
Yes.
Lamont, you didn't really find the jewels and bonds in their purses and wallet?
I'm afraid not, Margot. The Shadow ferreted them out of their hiding place earlier this evening, and then pretended to discover them tonight. It was a psychological trick to frighten them into a slip or confession.
Well, it worked. The Shadow isn't a criminal anymore. Commissioner Weston said so.
Believe you me, I had a hard time trying to persuade him to come to the Opera House tonight. I wasn't sure he'd show up until you thought you saw ghosts in the auditorium.
Oh, well, it's all over now. Let's forget about it. Isn't this nice, just driving in the moonlight?
Margot, be warned. Don't you remember Weston saying to stay away from the Shadow? I'm dynamite.
Are you, Lamont? Golly, someday I wish you'd prove it.
Another daring battle of the Shadow is over. Stay tuned for further news of this exciting series. Next week, same time, same station, we bring you another strange and thrilling adventure in the Shadow's daring battle against the forces of evil. Be sure to listen.
As you sow evil, so shall you reap evil. Crime does not pay. The Shadow knows.
This feature is produced by Reg Johnston for Grace Gibson Radio Productions, a masterpiece of suspense.